Hello, everybody, and welcome to Notorious Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm Notorious Cly, and today is a joyous day. I finally had some time to go to locals last night, and I ended up doing pretty well. I took second place. I went 3-1. I was 3-0 going into the final matchup. My opponent and I were the only ones who were undefeated at the end of the night, and yeah, ended up not winning the finals matchup, but that's okay. The deck they played was one of the coolest decks I've ever seen. I'm sure they'll probably end up having a deck profile on it on my locals YouTube page. So when that pops up, I'll link that to all of you just so you can see the madness that it was. I don't know the full card by card list about it, but I know what it is and kind of what was in there, at least the generals of it. It was what I can only refer to as a mill combo pile. Any engine or card in the game that plussed hard when it was milled or could effectively and efficiently mill stuff was in there. They were playing Tearlaments, Ishizu, Naturia, D Hero, and Shadal. I think there might have been a sixth engine in there, but yeah, I don't even remember that. The deck was crazy and there was so much going on. Was actually one of the coolest decks I've seen in a very long time, so I'm not too tore up that I lost to it. And I think I should stop burying the lead and tell you all what I played. I did some basic arithmetic last night. I played Mathmech. There he is. There's the boy. There's Circular. And I'm just now realizing that my camera setup isn't really the best for this kind of content. So just bear with me, and then maybe I'll put up all the cards on screen as I talk about them. And Mathmech is kind of a known quantity at this point. For those of you who aren't familiar with the TCG, I might do a bigger, more explanatory video if you're interested in that. If you are interested in that, let me know down in the comments so I can do it. But for the sake of this deck profile, I'm just going to keep it short and sweet, because most of the stuff I did was pretty standard. I really only made like 2 or 3 interesting decisions in deck building, and I'll talk about those when they come up. So first and foremost, we played 3 copies of Mathmech Circular. Circular is best card in the deck, does everything, foolish is for cost, specials itself for free, and then gets you a Mathmech Spell or Trap, which is Superfactorial, which is the God card. Please, Konami, if you're looking to hit Mathmech in some way, shape, or form, do not hit Circular, hit Superfactorial. Superfactorial is the card that makes everything feel unfair, and Circular is like the only thing that's making this this deck like competitively viable at the point. Superfactorial too, but maybe there's other stuff you can do to work around not having Superfac. But yeah, got to play 3 copies of it. It's your best card, and then you're playing more ways to get to it. But we'll get to those when they come up. Next up is 3 Diameter. Diameter is fantastic. Circular's spherical cousin. Fantastic card. A normal summon gets you something back from the graveyard, so you can have 2 material to go into a rank 4 or a link 2. And then if you XZ summon or synchro summon with it, monster you've made with it gets an Omni Negate, which is crazy. There was a lot of times where I would open up Circular and Diameter, or one of them, and then away into the other of them. And I would go ahead and use Circle. Foolish, the next card I'm going to talk about, Sigma, for cost. And then get to the Diameter, normal the Diameter, bring back the Sigma. And I've basically got 3 material on board for the low cost of a normal summon, and then overlay with Diameter. I now have an Xyz that's going to get me a key card, another material on board, and an Omni Negate. And that came up a lot for me. Not so much as needing the Omni Negate, but being able to make it and then make sure my turn 1 board was able to set up fully and stick. It was great protection against stuff like a Nib or stuff like a Droll or a Handtrap that I thought might really shut down my turn and my ability to play. So love Diameter, fantastic card. Next up, I'm playing 2 copies of Sigma. Pretty standard. You really want to have 1 to Foolish on your turn 1 setup for Circular, just because it can special itself back from the graveyard. If you control nothing in the MC, you can also special it from your hand in the same way, and then it banishes when it leaves the field. But if you overlay it and then pitch it off the Xyz, it's not technically on the field, so it's not leaving the field, it just goes to the graveyard. So that's really cool. Good card. I should mention that my locals was playing post-Syac stuff being legal. This list is a pre-Syac list because I don't have access to the post-Syac stuff yet. But that's fine. Even if I did have access to it, I don't think I'd be comfortable enough with the new cards to take it to locals. And apparently, you can still do well with the old build. So there we go. Next up is 2 copies of Addition and then 2 copies of Subtraction. Just basic extenders. They do the same thing different ways. Subtraction makes a monster lose 1,000 attack to special summon itself, and then Addition makes a monster gain 1,000 attack to special summon itself. Math, everybody. Free bodies never felt bad when I opened them because it meant I could extend a little bit further or play through 1 more piece of interaction. And really like that the fact that they're not light or dark. There were times when I would have the addition of Subtraction in hand, and I didn't need them to go full combo, but I would use them anyways to put them in the graveyard. That way I would have 4 materials in graveyard. So if I got hit with something like a DD Crow or a Bestial, yes, my opponent would probably take out the diameter and get rid of the Omni Negate, but I'd still be able to get 3 materials back, which meant Superfactorial and Loplation were super effective. For those who are uninitiated, Superfactorial is basically Tri-Brigade Revolt for Mathmech, and you get to immediately overlay or synchro with them. And then Loplation is Mathmech Trishula. You don't banish, you just send, but you can send from Monster Zone, Spell Trap Zone, and Hand. Most of the time you're only sending from 2 of those locations, but being able to just, get a monster for free that sends 2 of your opponent's cards to the graveyard is a big resource swing. And if you do get to make it with diameter, you also get an Omni Integrate with it because you overlaid for it. So yeah, crazy. Next up, keeping on theme with extenders, just Parallel Exceed. It was alright. There was some times where I had it and I didn't need it, and putting it on board wouldn't really have accomplished anything for me. So I just held it for follow-up to try and get extra material in case I needed to play through any of my opponent's leftover interaction, and make sure I could really get them. Post-IAC, there might be some merit to not playing Exceed, but I'll really have to toy around with that and actually start workshopping a build. Just because Exceed feels a little unnecessary when the deck gets super consistent with the new Firewall cards. One of the reasons why I wanted to make sure I included Parallel Exceed is because I'm playing 42 cards, which was one of the interesting decisions I made in deck building. And I guess we can just go into that now. In a 40 card list with 9 ways to Mathmech Circular, being Mathmech Circular itself, 3 copies of Cynet Mining, and 3 Small World, you have a 74% chance to open Circular or away to Circular. In a 42 card list with 9 copies of Circular, effectively, you have a 72% chance to get to Circular or hard open Circular, and that's a 2 percentage point decrease in the consistency of finding your best card. But the trade-off is the number of hand traps I was running. So I ran 42 hand traps. I ran 42 cards so I could fit 17 hand traps, 18 if you count Cyframe Driver, because I'm playing the Gambit package. And playing 17 hand traps in a 42 card list means you have a 69% chance of opening at least 2 hand traps. And if you play 15 hand traps in a 40 card list, you have a 64% chance of opening 2 hand traps. This is modern Yu-Gi-Oh! 1 hand trap doesn't stop anybody unless it's very targeted and very specific. So most of the time you need 2 hand traps. And I really wanted to make sure I could see 2 hand traps as often as possible, just to ensure that if I was going second, I would be able to play and at least have a chance at winning. So the 5% bump, even if my math wasn't perfectly correct, I know it's 5% bump. The 5% bump to see at least 2 hand traps to me was worth the 2% trade-off in seeing access to Circular. Because odds are if I didn't see Circular, I was seeing a way to still be able to kind of play, and I was still seeing enough non-engine to survive and then get another chance on the crackback. So let's just talk about these right now. 3 copies of Cynet Mining, just gets you into Circular. If you already have Circular, it gets you into Diameter, and having both of those is crazy for the reason I talked about, because you can establish the Omni to set up your turn 1 board. Also gets you to basically just any Cybers you need. So even if you already have Circular, Diameter, and you end up needing an addition or subtraction, you got them. You got them. And then Small World does the same thing, just in a little different way and with a little bit of upside. Plus you feel smart when you properly use your bridges and resolve Small World quickly and effectively. Small World is crazy in this list just because you have a lot of accessible bridges to get into different engine pieces or different hand traps. So being able to trade a spare piece of extension that you didn't need on your turn 1 setup to get to a hand trap that you know is going to guarantee you win with your first turn setup is so crucial, so clutch. And then last up are Mathmech Equation, just an extender for the list. And then Mathmech Superfactorial, the card that if you wanted to hit Mathmech, this would be the card to hit. I already talked about it a little bit. Tri-Brigade Revolt, you just target 3 Mathmechs in your graveyard, Source Summon, and then overlay or synchro with them. And then if you overlay for Loplation, like we talked about, that's Trishula. Plus, if you use Diameter, you get an Omni Negate. Crazy card. Adds so much lethality to the deck. If you wanted to make Mathmech more fair, you get rid of that card, you let them keep Circular. And they'll probably find another card to use instead of Superfactorial. I think they have Mathmech Induction, but Mathmech Induction is just a pop. And 1 pop compared to up to 3 sends and an Omni Negate is way more fair. And then let's go to hand traps, and I'll show you these 17, technically 18 if you want to count driver hand traps that I was playing. And these don't really need any introduction or explanation, but I'll probably just throw in a little tidbit here and there anyways. 3 Ash, good for Branded, just the most versatile hand trap around too, so it never feels bad playing it. 3 Droll, SIAC format, crazy card. It was good pre-Syac too, but post-Syac gets even better. Droll overperformed all night, getting that. Didn't end my opponent's turn. They were still able to establish a board, but it completely killed all their resource generation, which meant if I wasn't able to kill them on my turn and win the game, I was able to win the grind game because I cut off so much of the resource regen and was able to maximize all of mine. And then 3 copies of Gamma and the 1 driver. Such a versatile, high impact hand trap, and great this format for being able to negate and destroy. And then I also like it because a lot of people have gotten wise, and when you're playing Mathmech, if they see Small World or Cynet mining as like your first interaction, and they have an Ash in hand, most of the time they will Ash it because the trade-off is like, hey, they might not have Circular, and this might be their only way to get to Circular. So people will try to hand trap you there just to try and keep you off Circular, your best card. And they're right for doing so, but if you have Gamma, you can really punish them. And then more cards. I think this is the 2 of section of the hand trap list. 2 Ghost Ogre. We're playing with Syac stuff, but you know, not everybody has access to Syac stuff. So Ogre is good in Syac, or really good in Syac against some of those matchups, but still kind of mediocre in pre-Syac stuff. So I only wanted to play 2 just because, you know, I didn't think it would be super important to have. Ghost Ogre felt great to have though. I would definitely consider bumping it up to 3 next time I go, especially since Syac is going to be legal. Having Ogre in hand and then setting up my turn 1 board really felt pretty good. Ogre never felt like a waste. Even though I wouldn't be able to like negate my opponent's activated effect, just being able to remove something from their side of the board and then, you know, preserve the resources I have on board to interact with my opponent felt great. Next up is 2 Bell. Really wanted this because locals probably expected a little bit more branded than there was. I don't know how many branded players were actually there, but I really wanted something for the gimmick puppet lock just so I didn't get cheese for losing a dice roll game 1. And then Bell has some other niche applications against like runic stuff. I played against Naturi Runic and came up clutch. They had Mole Cricket in the grave during the grind game, and getting Mole Cricket back meant they would have been able to keep playing, and I had Bell in hand, so I was able to Bell it, keep it in graveyard, and then that meant I won the game right there because they had no way to generate more resources, and I already had some stuff established on board. Next up is Nib. Wanted Nib just for big combo decks, plus I thought Kashtera might be a little more popular. It wasn't, so if I was going to cut anything out, it'd probably be Nib, but I always like having Nib in the main just because if you lose the dice roll, it's a big blowout card. If somebody's playing around it, or at the very least, it at least trades with something on their board. It demands a response, which is always nice. I only nibbed once, and it was against the Naturi Runic player, and the most it did was trade for the Baron negate, but all they had was Runic Field Spell plus Baron, so being able to blank the Baron before I got to my turn meant all I had to play around was the Runic stuff, so that ended up coming in clutch. And then 2 Imperm. Thought about playing Valor instead of Imperm just because Valor has more uses as a small world piece, either to get to it for an extra piece interaction or use it as bridge to get into what I need to. But at the end of the day, I thought I had enough hand traps that would be good if I was going second, that I wanted something to also add some interaction to my turn 1 board by being able to set it, hide the Superfactorial. And also, if I didn't open it in my starting hand while going second, having it off the top wasn't bad because it could trade 1 for 1. So yeah, 42 cards, 17 hand traps plus driver, just give me the added bump to see at least 2 hand traps, just because I really wanted to. And for those astute mathematicians out there, you notice that was only 41 cards. 42nd card was Santa Claus. Played Santa just because it's a good small world bridge, and it's also a good thing to grab off a small world for certain matchups. Felt like there might be a little bit of Kashtera in the room. I don't think there was, but I wanted main deck answer to a Rise Heart Pass. There was some Pearly in the room, so Santa would have been good in that matchup too, but I ended up not seeing Santa or way to Santa. And you only really need the 1 Santa because it's decent in small world builds, so you can use small world to get to it, so you're basically playing 4 copies of it if you need it. Let's move on to the extra deck, and we'll just kind of speed this along. Let's start with Alimversion. So key, so clutch for the deck. Play 2 because you need 1 for combo, 1 for follow-up. This is what I would make with the Diameter and the Sigma, because that's what you should make during your turn 1 setup, and being able to put an Omni Negate on this while you set up is fine. And then you just use some other parts of your turn 1 board to get rid of it, to clear the zones, to make sure you can Superfactorial effectively. And then speaking of Superfactorial, Loplation, goated Trishula for the Mathmech deck. Really makes the turn 1 board super hostile and lethal. And then I played Link Disciple, Link Devotee. I was on the Disciple Devotee build just because I like it more than the Heat Soul Control type of builds. I like the more interactive, more wide, varied end board. going along with that is Lingribo. Fantastic to be able to blank a trap, especially when you're going second. If you can get a normal summon or a special summon on board for free and then Lingribo just to blank one of your opponent's back row, it feels really good. Especially because you have so much ability to special summon. Feels great that you can at least trade with them and then keep playing. And here's another one of the interesting decisions I made, which was Salome Great Almirage. Played Almirage because of the higher hand trap count, because you can normal summon a hand trap, make Almirage, and then if you have like Parallel Exceed, you get 2 material on board. And also, if you don't have Exceed, but you have like a addition or something like that, you can normal hand trap, link for Almirage, addition, target Almirage, get 2 materials on board, go Splash Mage, reborn the addition, then go Heatol, and then you're basically just playing Heatol control. That never really came up, but I felt good knowing that I had it. If I was going to take the little hit in the trade to consistency, I at least wanted the ability to establish something on the board if I felt like I needed it. And Heatol control isn't terrible. Isn't terrible when you consider that if I didn't open circular away to try and play, my hand is probably mostly non-engine stuff, which means it's hand traps. So the 2 draws from Heatol are going to get me even more hand traps and non-engine to really stifle my opponent, or they're going to eventually get me into my engine, which means hopefully I can play on the go around. 1 copy of Splash Mage, just there to help make access code and then extend into like Heatol control if I need to do that. Cyber's Wicked, fantastic card, goated card. Love that it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, and it protects the cards it points to from being destroyed by card effects. Got Lightning Storm twice, and they got basically nothing out of it because of Wicked. Fantastic. IP Masquerena, fantastic card. One of the main reasons why I love the Devotee Disciple board a lot more, just because you can play a more toolboxy extra deck and make sure your IP is getting you into the thing that helps you win the matchup, especially when you go first. Love it, love it, love it. And then we're playing Update Jammer, access code. Kind of goes along with the Splash Mage. Splash into material into Jammer into access code is a pretty well-known thing. I ended up not playing Transcode Talker. That was another one of the interesting decisions I made, just because I wanted more IP targets, and I wanted to make space for the Almirage. And I figured 1 access code, 1 Update Jammer would be all I needed. If I put enough Link monsters in graveyard, that access code should be able to clear the field, and if it can attack twice with Update Jammer, difference between doing 8,600 damage and 10,600 damage is negligible. You still win the game. So really wish I would have had a second access code talker, but I don't really want to pay for a second access code talker. Thought about playing a Final Sigma package, but that would have required my extra 2 hand traps being turned into 2 Mathmech cards in Nabla and Multiplication. The thought behind trying to play Final Sigma was it's hard to out if it's in the extra monster zone, and then if you make it with Nabla and Multiplication, you turn it into a very lethal option, and that was going to be there to try and compensate for the second access code talker I don't have, but I ended up deciding to play more toolbox stuff instead of more aggro stuff, I guess. And then Masquerena targets, kind of. Heatol is a Masquerena target if you really need to. It's also just a plan B, just pivot into Heatol control if you get stifled out on your play. Odds are you'll be able to do it. And then I played Nightmare Unicorn and Appaloosa. I ended up playing Nightmare Unicorn over Transcode Talker, or the second access code Talker, just because I really wanted the ability to make Masquerena as effective as possible, and being able to shuffle back one of my opponent's cards seemed more important to me than making a 5,000 attack access code Talker. I know a Transcode Talker has more uses, but I wanted the toolbox more than I wanted the Transcode, which is fine. I think it was a decent decision to make. And then Appaloosa, clutch card. Love Appo. Love Appo from my Tri-Brigade days. It's so good in this list too. Turns your board into a super negate board with IP Masquerena. In fact, that can't be destroyed by card effects after that is so clutch, so key. So that's the deck list, everybody. Thank you for watching. If you want a more detailed explanation on everything, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to do it, or like a combo video or something like that. And I'm now just realizing that I didn't do the side deck. There's really nothing too interesting there. So let's do side deck really quick. Kurikar, just for Kashtira and big combo boards. Never really saw it. Could have been something else and I've been happy. Dark Ruler, big blowout, go second card. Deals with big combo boards evenly. Big blowout, go second card. Deals with combo boards, also deals with back row boards really effectively. Wanted an end there for both those reasons. And then 3 Cosmic, just to get rid of back row. Good against the Runic matchups, good against back row matchups, good against every matchup to just get rid of whatever floodgate they sided in. Then Denko Seka, just to deal with back row matchups. Really cool card. Only need 1 because you can get into it pretty easily with Small World. And then Anti-Spell, the only go first card I played, just to try and blank any of my opponent's big board breaker spells. And then also could help against stuff like Runic, just because they'd have to start setting all of their stuff that they don't immediately change to anti-spell. And then if you set it, you know how much of a Runic engine you're playing against, and you can just kind of do it accordingly from there. Also, surprisingly good against Pearly. Again, they'll just chain a lot of their stuff, but any of the other stuff they draw into, they have to then set, and then you kind of know what you're working with. So, all right, everybody, that's the deck profile. Thank you for watching. This went a little longer than I thought, but hopefully all of you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to do more TCG content, and after getting second at locals, I'm really excited to do that kind of stuff. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll see you on the next video. Be safe, have fun, everybody.